On the subject of Haiti, I got you to send me through some videos, so let me bring them up now. I'll just mute them. So, can you talk us through? Because to me, it was really important. As I said, a lot of people talk a good game, but I really want to show boots on the ground and pageant queens, well, literally getting your hands dirty, as you can see in that one. Because otherwise, all people see is just the glam, and they think you're talking about it, but you're not actually doing it. So, talk us through what's happening here.
So this is at a children's home in Haiti, and so they were taking in kids who were either abandoned, their parents died, they were just on the street, and
Wow.
so they were taking in, kids from all over the city, and they were giving them a safe place to live, and so they wanted to help supplement their diets because the typical Haitian diet is just rice and beans, and while that can
Mm,
be filling for when you don't have a lot of resources, and that helps get you between when you can eat again, it's not you can't thrive off of that. That's not enough nutrition for a human. And so they wanted to help supplement the kids' diets with some vegetables, and that's what we specialize in. And so here we had just planted the garden, and so there were some seeds coming up, and we brought in some plants because sometimes kids can be a little impatient to watch things grow. And so I would pre-grow some plants and bring them to plant so that within the 6 weeks of the course being over, we could have our farm to table snack. And so actually all of our boxes are made out of recycled pallets and it's all recycled materials. And then that's mostly compost. And so I'm just teaching the kids of what's going in there, what's going to be growing, getting them excited about it. A lot of
mm,
kids, people assume that kids hate vegetables. And while a lot of times that's true, um, I've witnessed that you can actually find quite the opposite, especially with cherry tomatoes. We would see kids who would put in the effort of actually growing the food, and they were
yeah.
far more likely to enjoy it because they know what went into that. And so we
Yep.
had kids who were obsessed with candy now turning to cherry tomatoes instead of it. And so it was a really great experience. And we have projects like that all over Haiti. And it's a really special, it's one of my favorite classes to teach of urban gardening.
Yeah, I have some cherry tomatoes downstairs, and when you grow them yourself, I have a 5-year-old nephew, and he's not huge on vegetables, but when you grow them yourself, he goes downstairs and he harvests all the beans, he picks the tomatoes, and he's happy to eat them because he feels like he
Exactly.
contributed to it. So what veggies are actually going in here?
I think I saw some aubergine or eggplant for the
Yep.
American vocabulary. I'm surprised I remembered that. So we have some tomatoes growing in there. I know we grew lots of lettuce, and then we try to keep in whenever we're working in a new community of keeping vegetables there that would be found in a typical diet if they had the
Yeah.
resources to get those vegetables. Because we don't want to show up and be like, hey, you need to change your whole diet because that's not
Yeah.
going to work. That's not sustainable. And so, but the only thing we try to introduce is kale because it is similar to other greens that would be in the diet, but it's far more nutritious. And we find that it's actually really easy for them to work with because it easily incorporates with sauces or salads,
Mm.
things like that. You can cook it down. And so that's another thing we really try to introduce. But we've got some seeds in there. I think I saw some bell peppers and tomatoes, some of our key favorites. And we usually throw in a few herbs and things and talk about pollination and why that's so important. The kids always love that because they always grab a little leaf and love to rub it between their fingers and smell it or make tea out of it.
Right. Do you have any issues with, I mean, I love the fact that you don't tell, other cultures that you should eat this because I think that's very disrespectful. So I love the respect of going in
Absolutely.
and trying to incorporate yourself with them. Do you struggle with pests at all? Because I got to say, once you, like, I don't know,
Absolutely.
when you start growing things, you start noticing, oh, there are aphids here, there are insects here, there's slugs, there's snails. So do you struggle with any pests, birds, and then what do you do about those?
We dealt with that a ton in Haiti. In when we were in Tennessee with our first project, it we had to deal with a whole different set of pests and
Yeah.
issues. Well, aphids are pretty much everywhere. You can't really avoid them for the most part unless you do something about it. But in Tennessee, we had to deal with deer coming up and trying to eat it. And in Haiti, you
Okay.
don't have that problem.
No.
And so one of the things though that we teach is how to do it all organically, mainly because organic vegetables, we are getting so many pollutants in our everyday lives, whether it be from air or water. I believe that you don't need to add more of that into your body through food. And there are ways to grow food organically. And so there are solutions to all of these problems. And also in developing nations like Haiti, it is not cost effective or even possible for many families to purchase fertilizers and
Yeah.
pesticides. And so showing that they can grow things from home without having to spend all that because that could be sending their kids to school or putting additional food on the table. And so we'll teach things like how to make fertilizer out of other plants or out of kitchen scraps, and how to keep pests away with garlic and cinnamon and cayenne pepper and things like that. So we come up with we have our little tips and tricks like that we're just teaching everywhere we go. And it really was effective with our farming community in Haiti, one of our farming communities. And their main issue was pests. They just couldn't control it. They couldn't afford to get pesticides, and
Yeah.
we were like, "Well, you don't need them. It's actually better for you if you don't use those. Here's a few things you can try." And so they tried
Mhm.
it, and they told us that their farms completely transformed after that. That they were able to produce so much more food because they weren't losing so much to all of these pests and things. So it's been really successful, and it's been really fun to learn because it's really like doing a bunch of science experiments.